Amarius Mims transitioning to the NFL is going to be the most interesting thing to watch, right? Because he played at Georgia, Alabama, all those colleges, the Big Ten colleges, they play at an NFL level, right? They don't play as like a college team. That's why they're so good and they win natties. Michigan as well. That's why they're so successful because they have their players play pretty much like they're in the NFL. So like when you draft someone from Alabama, you're pretty much drafting a guy who's been in the NFL for 4 years, right? So he knows to a certain level how to play. You go to some smaller schools, you're not going to have that same luxury as you would at Alabama, again, Michigan, Georgia, etc. So he's played at a very high level. Problem is, he only played one season. Well, technically. He played 7 games his final year at Georgia. Before that, he played the Peach Bowl and the Natty. And then before that, he was a backup his whole entire career at Georgia. He tried to leave Georgia, go somewhere else. He almost went to Florida State University. Nonetheless, though, ended up going back to Georgia and playing Georgia. So he's played at a very high level. And even when he practiced, he would practice against the best of the best. So it's like he's coming from a pro-level offense, a pro-level system in Georgia, in college. Now he's coming to the NFL. And the biggest problem we always talk about is Frank Pollack, right? Frank Pollack is, in our opinion, not the greatest coach of all time when it comes to being an offensive line coach. So many times I think he should be let go. We should get somebody else. But, Amarius Mims actually is playing the other side of it. He's actually very excited to work with Frank Pollack. Now, could that just be, hey, listen, you're a brand new rookie in town. You want to get some good graces, so you talk good about the coach. Yes, to a certain degree, I would say that is the case. But, again, who knows? Maybe he does actually love Frank Pollack. So let's go ahead and read what he had to say about Frank Pollack and everything like that. He said, I can tell what kind of coach he is. I'm going to get the same coach every day, and that's what I enjoy. And actually, based on what I understand from Coach Pollack as like a coach, like a person point of view, he's actually a really good guy. Like, he's actually a really good person, and I don't think there's any real bad things about him. I don't think he's the greatest coach, but I think he is actually a good person in general. It was like that with Coach Cyrils at Georgia. They remind me so much of each other because they both got that same vibe. They had that great energy. I know what kind of version of coach I'm going to get every day, and that's what I need, honestly. And listen, Amarius Mims, and to Frank Pollack credit, he hasn't really ever been given that great of, actual competition or great prospects to work with to try to coach them into being amazing. Amarius Mims has all the intangibles of to be a top 5 right tackle in history of football. So, Frank Pollack, this could be Frank Pollack's, way to show how great he is. And listen, if it's a win-win, right? If Frank Pollack is successful with Amarius Mims, we win. If he's not successful, then we lose. But if he's successful, he looks like a great offensive line coach, and we get ourselves an amazing player. Continuing down the line here, he said, I would definitely say Georgia did a good job preparing me to be a pro faster, Mims said. Honestly, just because of culture, there's like one of one. There was probably maybe one team in the country that does it like we do it, but not as consistent as we do it. Like I said, they did a great job preparing me, so I feel like I do have a foot ahead. I will say another thing that's really going to help him transitioning from college to the NFL, other than the fact Georgia or Frank Pollack here, is also the fact he gets to sit behind Trent Brown and learn behind Trent Brown. Sitting behind both Browns, Orlando, and Trent here and learning is probably the best thing he could ever ask for. Because the last thing he needs to do is go out there and be thrown out into the wolves here and have to start day one. Being able to sit back and learn is a blessing in disguise, right? So that's another thing. And if Frank does actually is able to coach him up and, have him play at a high level, that's just a win-win-win, right? Continuing, he said the NFL is another level above Georgia, so we're going to have to take it up a notch for sure. And again, like I said, I think he's going to be very successful. I really do, right? It's one of those situations where he's a future pick. He's a pick for the future. And when you need to protect Joe Burrow, you got to do this, right? You got to pick toward the future and get a guy that in the future is going to be your franchise right tackle. Everything right now is set up for this to be the most successful pick in Bengals history. Everything is set up correctly. If Frank Pollack does his job and doesn't mess up, and maybe he is a great coach, maybe I just haven't realized it yet, hidden potential. He hasn't gotten real actual prospects to show how good he is. He goes out there and he helps him, and Orlando Brown and Trent Brown, this could be one of the best picks. So, we'll see. Again, we'll see. I will say that, again, him not playing much in college, at the end of the day, really doesn't matter. I made a whole entire video talking about it and breaking it down. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. There's players in the NFL who are starting players in the NFL who have played less time than a Mims in college and are still very successful. They're very good. They're very successful. So, and there's players who played way more than Mims in college, and they are bust. So, it's kind of ironic, but yeah. Guys, comment down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.